Antanil Tulian Meldanin, and thank you once again for joining me. My name is Lord Aramil, and today I am trying to figure out this new laptop, and hoping that it is working. It says it's good. I think that's working now. Alright, Antanil Tulian Meldanin, and thank you once again for joining me. My name is Lord Aramil, and today we are doing another Aramil's Musing. And this is really just a musing, actually, a musing, just me, just chatting. Not a huge amount to really debate or discuss or philosophize over, but I'll do my best anyways to pass a bit of time with you in a manner most enjoyable. So today is actually quite a big day because Pennsylvania finished their count, I believe, or at least the Associated Press has called it. Yes, President-elect Biden, very nice. Very hopeful for the future. I know that there's going to be a huge tantrum and lawsuits and all sorts of things to be there's going to be a lot of mess, basically, what it's going to pull out to be. But hey, I mean, I'm still hopeful. I have hope again, which is nice. It's been so long since we've had any hope. Let's see here. What else is new? One of the things that I wanted to talk about is one of the reasons why I started doing these videos in the first place, really, was a way to get my thoughts out and save them for posterity and just kind of talk, you know? And sometimes that's, it's helped me, I think. I think it is oddly therapeutic in many ways, which is fitting because I'm actually starting therapy in a couple days, which is, I've been working on my mental health, this whole year, because I don't have much else to do, so might as well, untangle a few mental knots, and, starting out alright, and then realizing as I went on, just how much shit I was shoveling through. Maybe I should get a professional to lend a hand. So, there's that. But, all good things, right? YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Why not? I swear. Can I mess with the settings? Output. Video bitrate. Can I increase that? Hello. Oh, hello, Teru. Which is a lie? I'm sorry. Would that be the, YouTube not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming? If it is a smooth stream, then perfect, wonderful. And this should be, noted that I have Teru to thank for that smooth streaming, because, yeah, good job. Teru has graciously lent me a much nicer laptop, and, well, I can actually do things now. Right now in like an hour or so, I'm going to be streaming some Rome 2 Total War on Facebook. Because I can now. Like, this is wonderful. Let's see, I did take... Well, I put together a small video last night for the Minecraft and all that good stuff. The Minecraft. Oof. And I will probably clean it up, edit it up, and bring it out, I want to say today. I'm going to try for today. I want to do it today because tomorrow I'm hoping to hopefully live stream another build day. Probably in the midday. That's what I'm kind of hoping for. It's kind of okay. It's a bit, loose in terms of scheduling at the moment, but hey, we'll get it out there, and it'll probably be a couple hours long, so it'll be plenty of time for people to see, oh hey, there's a stream going on. I don't know. I don't have as much to talk about today, I guess, as I thought I did. It's been a week, that's for sure. It's been a very hectic and nervous week. I've had the electoral map up in a separate tab the entire week, just watching as things progressed bit by bit. Technically, it's not over yet. Nevada, Georgia, and North Carolina all have to finish counting. I don't know why North Carolina is still in progress, technically, because there's only 1% left, and Trump has more than a 1% lead, but whatever, that's fine. Georgia has 1% remaining, and Biden has a 0.2% lead, so yeah, I'm not surprised that that's still counting. And then, for some reason, Nevada still has 13% remaining, and Biden has almost a 2% lead. So, I don't know why Nevada is taking so long. Let's see, they have a little over 1 million voters, 1.2 million voters, which is like, what would that be, like a sixth of Pennsylvania? So I don't know what's taking them so long, but whatever, that's fine. Take all the time you need. At this point, I'm fine. Biden currently has 284 out of 270 electoral votes, so that's just what I needed to see today. So it's been kind of, yeah, like I said, who hasn't been watching this, like, nail-bitingly close race, and it's God, it's like the nightmare might finally be over. Mind you, Biden wasn't my first pick, but boy, am I happy that Trump is getting out. Because fuck Trump, honestly. Of course, we still have, a month and a half until Trump is officially dragged from office. Which I hope that they live stream that. Because, oh boy, will that be good. Oh well. That's enough politicking. I'll be honest. I don't want to get too political for too long. So I'll talk about D&D because I much prefer that. I'll talk about a campaign that I'm running. Yeah. The campaign. So I brought out, this new campaign idea. It's like, hey, you half dozen people, most of whom aren't in one of my campaigns already, I'm going to be starting a new campaign. I called it Campaign Novus because that just means new campaign, but it sounds pretentious and cool. So, and I asked them all, did I already talk about this? I don't think I already talked about this, so I will talk about it now. So, in Campaign Novus, the first thing I did was like, alright, so what do you all want to do? And I gave a huge list of possible themes that could be, the central tenet of the campaign. Like, do you guys want to be dungeon delvers? Do you want to be wilderness explorers? City building. Everything. Zombie. Arena. All these things. And I also gave, a huge list, well, not a huge list, but I gave, 6 or 7 settings. So, it was a mistake. That was definitely a bit of a mistake, as nobody really could agree on what they wanted to do. in all actuality, we finally got a concrete answer of Forgotten Realms. Okay, that's cool. Forgotten Realms is massive. It's got a lot of source material. I can work with that. And boy, have I researched Forgotten Realms. But then it came over to, what do you people actually want to do? And, everybody had well, I shouldn't say everybody. Excuse me. I have not been sleeping well either. I need more tea. But, most people had some vague idea of what they want to do, but very little overlap, honestly. So it's like, okay, you all can't decide on one thing for us to do, so we're gonna do all of them. Yeah. Basically, what I've got now is I made up an artifact called the Staff of Novus, which has 12 pieces. Think of it a bit like somewhere between Jackie Chan's Adventures and Dragon Ball Z. Because the shards of Novus, that's what I call them. There's a dozen of them. Each one has its own power. You can actually do something with this shard of Novus. And then also, it can connect to another shard of Novus for maybe an additional piece. Or an additional power. There are 1 shard for each school of magic, all 8 schools of magic, and then an additional 4 shards which are related to the 4 elements. Actually, I was very happy that it, came together so cleanly. I was very pleased with that. So, I was, it's interesting. I'll say that much. So each shard With how best to explain this campaign? Every few hundred years, the shards of Novus become active, and this means that they they activate. They have these kind of, not neutral powers, ambient powers, sure. Basically, they block all teleportation and scrying within like 50 miles, which make a massive treasure hunt, basically, throughout the world. Okay? So you can't teleport to them, you can't find them, or at least you can't divine them magically. How do you find them? Well, each shard, when it is possessed by somebody, will give kind of these hints, prophetic dreams, cryptic gut feelings as to the location of the others. And I came up with a nice little prophecy thing. Well, not prophecy so much as, I guess, cryptic truths. You know, something for the players to look at, and I think they spent like half an hour musing over that. They had a map of Toril, the Forgotten Realms planet, mind you, because this is going worldwide. Because screw just staying on the Sword Coast. No. Just everywhere. So they had a map, they had the list, and I'm pretty sure several of them had pulled up PDFs for, like, Player's Guide, and maybe even the campaign setting. Just everywhere. Where are we going? We're figuring it out. And they did great, mind you. I was very pleased with several of my players. And like the ultimate ability of the staff is kind of left very nebulous. I'm saying that it was a personal staff of an Archmage of Netheril. So this is somebody who played around with like 10th level spells. So the staff is potent as shit. It really doesn't matter what the full staff does, because they'll have it for probably all of like one session at the very end of the campaign. So, whatever. And I'm basically making up the powers of the shards as I go along. So, you know, it's pretty cool. I think it's very interesting. I'm kind of surprised that, well, to start off, my party has one shard of Novus, which they haven't done anything with. Okay. There is a bit of buffering. That's fair. So, to start out the campaign, they get one shard of Novus. Okay, cool. And yet nobody's done anything with it. If memory serves, it is it is the shard of transmutation. I rolled and decided that's what they were gonna get. Now, yeah, like, I understand maybe a bit of hesitance to activate blindly, because that is a DC 25 use magic device check, which is not an easy thing to do for somebody who is perhaps not trained to do so. As a matter of fact, it is basically impossible. Okay. As long as the buffering isn't too rough, I think we can live with that, I hope. So, But let's see here. One other thing that's kind of fun is it's led to a lot of research about the world. So they started in Cormyr. Cool. Solid place to be. And they found... Excuse me. They found out, or they figured out, I should say, that there is a shard in Waterdeep. Now, they don't know where in Waterdeep. Waterdeep's a big place. And also one in the High Forest. Now, that's good and all, but both of those things are like a month's travel away from Cormyr. In the same direction, roughly, but still a month's travel. Until the druid of the party went through several source books and like, hey, crossroads and backroads are a thing. We can travel via ley line to Waterdeep. Just itself. Traveling all the way to Waterdeep now. Oh, hello. Thank you. Hello, Lucy. I had not expected you. A pleasure to see you. I am excused. I'm glad. Let's see here. Where was I? Oh yeah, so they travel through the Fey backroads to Waterdeep. That's basically where we ended the last session, but just having a player, especially one who doesn't normally do the kind of in-depth research that would be required to figure this out. Like, it's one thing to say, like, oh, hey, I think I remember hearing about, this ley line Fey backroad thing that can allow teleportation from one place to another in instantaneous travel. Are there any of those around? No. Like, she went through and she found the specific well-known backroad that led from Cormyr to a park in Waterdeep itself. Bless. Holy shit. And that just makes my life easier for many reasons. For one, it introduces this concept, which is great. Fast travel concepts are amazing, and it's also not a fast travel that the players have control over, because they still have to, they have to convince the Fey Guardian of this backroad to let them travel. One way, mind you. Then they have to convince the other Guardian on the other end to let them travel back if they so choose. So, it's really nice in that way, because then I don't have to do the research for every town along the way for a month-long travel, and I also, because I'm in a sticky situation for that, because I want the idea of a long journey. I want the players to appreciate how far they're going throughout all of this. But at the same time, I've been in a campaign where the DM had us play out every single day on a long journey. And it was hell. Because we really didn't care. So there's got to be, a middle ground between the hand wave of, okay, you traveled for 10 days, and now you're here. And the monotony of every day. And some people will have come up with different ways of doing it. I think Dale Kingsmill, who I cannot stress enough, is amazing. Still good? Okay. But I think she came up with a pretty solid travel system. I'd have to go back and re-watch that video. Let's see here. So that's that campaign, and I'm really excited about it, and I'm interested to see where it goes. One thing that I am going to change is I'm going to stop awarding XP, because none of the characters actually use XP in a resource manner. There aren't any item crafters or similar in the campaign. So as long as that stays the way it is, I'm thinking I'm just going to level them up each time they get a Shard of Novus. Which does mean that by the end they'll be like level... Let's see, I started them off at 3, so they'll be like level 14 or so when the campaign finally ends, which is the highest I've ever played with, mind you. So yeah, cool. It'll be fun. Another fun thing about that campaign, really, is I get the chance to introduce antagonists that are not evil. Like, there are many, many groups who are searching for these Shards of Novus. And some of them are definitely evil. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, like, I have a necromancer going after one. That's, yeah, cool. Evil. Summoning undead, making an undead army, and just bad. Alright, we can... That's simple. But there are also good organizations. Like, what does the Cleric of Lathander do when he finds out that there is a half a dozen paladins of Lathander who are currently crusading for these shards? How does he reconcile that without, hurting anyone, basically? Like, how? And even better is, these shards are not in a vacuum, so other people, like I mentioned, are looking for them. And if the characters spend too much time going after one shard instead of another shard, well, another group might just find it. That's how it goes. I think the stream is still going alright, but okay, that was weird. Sorry, it showed the viewer count kind of did one of these and then kind of like ended at a 0. I'm getting a call. I'll deal with that later because I don't have a name for that. Which isn't terribly surprising because it's still a pretty new phone. You'll just wait. That's anxiety inducing. I have no idea who's calling me, but meh. Go to voicemail already, goddamn. Let's see here. And so that's Campaign Novus. And I'm really excited about it because, like I mentioned, we're going all over the place. There are a lot of places in Faerun that there is nothing about. You've got Maztica, which is basically, Aztec, Inca, Maya fantasy. cool. You have Karatur, which is basically your Oriental Asian hodgepodge of tropes and fantasy. I'll just pull up a quick map. Yeah, here we go. Can I just get open image and new tab, please? Ah, perfect. Okay, yeah. Now, if I can, window capture? Hey, yeah. Okay, that looks a little rough, but, you know. Voila. All's well. So, let's see here. Yeah, roughly where my fingers should be. Can I? Oh, well, whatever. Point is, you got Zakara, which is kind of a Middle Eastern fantasy, which is cool. Let's see. This is working, right? Oh, well. Can't whip back to the chat and check it out. Oh, well. So, yeah. Point is, you got Mazteca, which is kind of like Mesoamerica. The whole thing really looks like a jumbled up Earth, which is still kind of cool, whatever. You got Faerun, which everybody's, well, I shouldn't say everybody is familiar with, but people who are familiar with Forgotten Realms are familiar with Faerun. It's where all the normal Faerun stuff happens. Cool. Alright. Yeah, you got Karatur, which is Asia fantasy, Zakara, which is Middle Eastern fantasy, Mazteca, which is Mesoamerican fantasy, and then you have all these other land masses. Like, okay, cool, my cursor does show up. Oh, neat. They have names for the oceans. That's new. But yeah, like, all of this is basically unknown. That's unknown. That's unknown. This whole, like, Australia place. What's there? I have no idea. Siberia? Fuck if I know. So it's an excuse, really, to go to all these different places and check them out. It is a map. And it's a cool map. Actually, I'll probably have to save that map. Just to check out, you know, in the future. 'Cause they've got more oceans labeled on that than the map that I'm using. So I'm going to definitely have to keep that in mind. That's many things to think about. Anyways, yeah, so that's that campaign, and I'm really, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for the campaign. We've got a pretty good story going. Yeah, it's nice. My other campaign is going well as well. Ugh. English is one hell of a drug. Because it's still a really interesting campaign idea to do spell jamming and sphere hopping. Because I'm like, oh no, we're kind of getting bored with, I don't know, this planet entirely, this whole campaign setting. Maybe instead of this, we'll go to, like, the Nile, the planet of, you know, Egyptian fantasy. Or maybe we're getting a little too bored of the sand, so we're gonna go steal some mechs. Like, who knows? and it's very entertaining. It helps to keep everything fresh. Like we just did an arc, where they were fighting, samurai and Wu Zhen, who had stolen from them another spelljamming power. And they track them down to a small outpost and recover at least one of the things that they stole, which is good. And from there, they just kind of, the whole party was just like, whew, alright, cool. And it's like, hey, do we want to, we've done a good bit of this arc, maybe we should, do something else for a little while. And they're like, yes, please. I'm like, it's all good. They really enjoyed fighting all of these people, and they had a really well done interaction near the end, where they realized that I'm not afraid to kill them if they make a dumb decision. Fun fact, do not run screaming headlong at a fortified position. I don't know why this needs to be said, but apparently it does. And if you're on a deserted island, and you see that the enemy has a military base, on a world that is basically uninhabited, rushing towards it yelling for help will not aid you. You cannot bluff the people on the inner perimeter of Area 51 that you just are a lost traveler and you really need help. You will get shot. And that's what the ranger learned. But in the end, they managed to talk their way out just enough to call in the cavalry, and that's what matters. As everybody had a good time, there was a good amount of roleplay, and everybody made it out. Perhaps scathed is the most appropriate way of saying it. There are several people who were beat up. The party leader, the unofficial party leader,